I'm still like just how unnecessarily rare those beasts were in Fire Red Leaf Green is still ridiculous.
Yeah, we were having that conversation in the last session, weren't we? About like how like youngins these days don't know how good they had it, considering like in literally most parts, like you only realistically only had like possibly one shot at like the legendary birds back in the day, or
Yeah.
you had a couple of nibbles at the legendary dogs, but you could easily fuck it up. You know, like there's a genuine skill in not like screwing it up in a sense,
Yeah.
where like okay, granted, like that was like perhaps unnecessarily cruel to inflict on 10-year-olds, but you
I don't
know,
know.
we're
Character building.
yeah, exactly. And look, it's that kind of thing where like it the exclusivity of Pokemon isn't really that big a deal anymore in that sense because
Yeah.
you have like such elements like a competitive scene. You also have like say just the fact that like you always have such callbacks to different games and stuff like this. And technology has just got better as well. That like you could theoretically just have a full dex saved up from your well, let's say what's the biggest major drum from say fire from Ruby Sapphire and Fire Red Leaf Green. Like there's a bit of progression there in that respect where the code with the code is not going to kill itself if you've imported anything too far. So like it's not as I said like it's not as if like only one person in the world has this shiny legendary dog. You know, kind of way.
Right.
It's not
So
not that
think
exclusive
of,
anymore.
think about it again. You're age 12. You've beaten through. You've realized, oh shit, I have to start over my whole thing again, my whole collection again.
Yeah.
The initial decks that just happened. I've gotten everything. Oh no, there's still a rake of Kanto ones left. Okay, Fire Red came out, and that should answer all my questions. I
Yes.
chose my Bulbasaur. I get to the end of the league, and hey, here you go. Here's your one beast, Entei. Where the fuck are the other two? Oh, you have to beat the games with a different starter in order to unlock the other beasts.
Yeah.
So that's three full playthroughs to get the legendary beasts.
Yeah. Like I mean,
Or or you get Colosseum, and the beasts are fucking pricks to take care of in this. And it's
yeah.
like the shadow bar goes down so slowly for them, and it's it's a great way of a setup for them. It does
Yes.
keep them nicely rare, but so many of these were unnecessary dicks to get.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, wasn't like obviously you could trade from Colosseum to your Game Boy game of choice at this point. But I'm trying to think now. Is a shadow Pokemon tradable if it's still a shadow,
Yes.
or do you have to
Oh no,
purify to do
it
it?
cannot be a shadow. It has to be purified.
I thought as much. Yeah, like that would explain then why like it's such a difficult gameplay conceit then. So that actually
Yep.
okay, that tracks actually a bit more reasonably than I thought.
Now that said, if you had a GameCube, you could then just copy that save file across to multiple memory cards, and there you
Oh
go.
yeah, look, there's ways and means around it. In fairness, like you know,
you've got a lovely farm you've got a lovely farm
Mm.
set up to churn them out.
yeah,
And you could probably like, this is again. I put myself back in 2003. Me, I had LimeWire, I had Napster, I made CDs for those in my class.
yeah. You
Um,
were that guy.
I was that guy. I was the man who could what was it, read out of Shawshank Redemption. I've been known to procure items every now and again.
Yes, you have the ability pick up. Just randomly find potions and berries on the floor like a fucking weirdo.
I have the move thief. I have the
Yes.
ability download.
Yes, there you go.
There we go. New cannon.
I mean, it's kind of that we can all avail of. In fairness, like I think we're all like all end up in the same sphere at some point. But yeah, I see what you mean though. But yeah, like I like as I said, like it's because like the fact that like you can't just get this Pokemon anywhere now at this stage. It's kind of defeats the purpose. But at the time, it's different because like not everyone is meant to get the legendaries. That's the whole point.
Yes.
Is that like you know, and we were. This goes back to the conversation we had about those kind of like trophy Pokemon as well. Like the legendary dogs and the birds to that extent are not necessarily good in battle in a sense, but there is a gravitas to them as well when you actually are using them. It's the fact that like, oh look at me, I have an Articuno, ladies. You know, it's like it's the name value alone is the kind of thing. Whereas like, okay, let's face it, we all know the Bentleys are not the best made cars in the world, but having a Bentley is a status symbol. You know, so
Yes.
like having having all three legendary dogs is equivalent of having like a fucking like Lamborghini that you drive down to the shops. You know what I mean? It's a bit unnecessary and probably isn't the best suited thing for this task. You know?
Yeah. That said, I do think this game sets up you using, like, it sets up, since it doesn't give you a choice of fire, water, grass at the start.
Yeah.
It sets up that, hey, we're going to make the dogs available to you, and we're not telling you to use them, but considering the schlock that is available elsewhere, you're gonna want to use them.
Oh yeah, like it clears the path for you to like if you are playing this game and you actively choose not to use the dogs, you really are missing out, because even narratively that makes an awful lot of sense, because like your character is literally a reformed Pokemon snatcher. So like, what better way to get like karma?
You say reformed. He's a silent protagonist. You can make it whatever you want. You obviously play him as a. Okay,
do you know, that's fair enough. Actually, I am imposing my own beliefs on this character. So maybe he does want to.
You would vote for reform, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's more of a case of like, okay, maybe he isn't actually the good guy. Maybe he just wants to do the crime better than they do.
Yeah.
And
oh no,
again,
I do feel like I don't think he was on a moral quest to say, hey, Snagem is in the wrong here. I think he was just, hey, fuck you.
Yeah, it's just a disgruntled employee essentially goes rogue. Like it is literally the case of like, I've actually just joined the rival company, and there is very little you can do about this. So just suck it up, like. Yeah,
that is how I had played it.
Fair. And in fairness, as you said, he's a silent protagonist. He's not exactly showing his alignment by talking, you know. So as it checks out, like.
That said, he does show more emotion than the protagonist in Alola.
Yeah, you know, when everything kind of like weird happens, there is just that blank face, and then sometimes an O.
Oh no! That O came in the Ultra games. That was them fixing the problem.
Oh, we forgot to put faces on our main characters. Well, that don't be too silly. Yeah.
Genuinely, that is what I remember. It was like, go back, it was like, okay, the the alien wormhole is opened and shit is flying through, and in the base game you're just sitting there with a gurmless smile.
Yeah.
and in the remake, it's a very hastily painted O face that you have over it.
Finally, we found the protagonist that can emote successfully. Like, I'm even thinking like is that like the legacy of Red as a character? Is that like, you know, but apparently there's just an ongoing urban legend that if your child is mute, they just are naturally going to have an affinity to Pokemon battling.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly there's some guy in fucking Petalburg who runs like a shitty ass gym, like gives birth to a son who hasn't spoken a word, and goes, "Oh my god, I found a new Pokemon champion. He can't express his emotions. He can't say a word. Therefore, he must be attuned to the Pokemon."
God love for Alligator.
Oh yeah. Like, Realgam with an Earthquake at this point is a proper sucker punch. It was like, ouch.
It absolutely is.
Isn't it? Like, because all the moves in this game are kind of shite. Like, they're all very mid-table, mid-range moves, or priorities, or little kind of like, you know, like curveballs, let's say, just like a Confuse Ray, a Stun Spore, all that sort of stuff. And then you have something that has actual fucking power to it. It was like, ow. Like
again, this here, like, battles like this here show that, like, hey, we're not going to treat you like an idiot. Here's some competitive strats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like setting up spikes.
Or even like, I'm even thinking like I had a fairly sticky encounter with like a trainer had an Ariados, and an Ariados is not a particularly good Pokemon. It's your Route 1 bug of Gen 2. Like, it's not meant to tear up trees, but the thing had fucking Sludge Bomb, which is a base 90 move. So like it's gonna hurt regardless of its stats and your stats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's especially when like compared to like everything else has some level of grunt to it. Like you look at like Umbreon there, like his strongest attack is a base 60. You know, so like just you know even that actually that is actually almost a selling point to the legendary dogs is that like they have a strong move attached to them. Like you have a Surf or a Fire Blast or a Thunder.
Sure.
Happy
They
days.
also so something like Entei also has a special stat attached to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like it's just at the very least being able to excuse me, at the very least able to just kick some ass with them is actually just a selling point in of its own right. And that
Yeah.
again that is the challenge of the game in a sense. It's like I think we said it before. Like the game is actively taking the toys away from you of a main game, and has actually forced you to think, and in essence, play a character really, because the main protagonist in most of the games is just an analog. Like it's not it like the reason they're mute is that it's you, the player, like engaging in the scene. Whereas in this, like you could actually say that this character, which we call Madness, but in canon is called Wes, is an actual tangible character with a
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
Not much of a
And
personality, but he's there.
and as you've gone through, that personality can be what you make of it.
Exactly, yeah. So this is the fact that like this guy's come in well established with a backstory and with his mascot Pokemon of choice. So it is a case of
Generally,
like
the trainer names in this seem like they're AI. Evil. It seems like it's like
yeah.
that's like you asked AI, "Hey, make me a list of people's names." I like just took them
I read
halfway
them
down the
as
stack.
corruptions of Western names. Like that's what I've been kind of like getting them as I'm reading them. Like it's like you know, like Kevil is like a corruption of Kevin. You know, that's the way I've been kind of looking at it, because some of them are quite like are quite close to, like, say there was one that was called Bila, which is like, okay, that could be Bailey or Billy or something like that. You know, so like it seems like they've heard a Western name and then kind of like bastardized it a little bit to make up a new character, which is fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's actually quite a clever way of making character names by just like taking a name that everyone kind of knows and then just like changing a letter or changing a syllable, and there you have it. It's you know, speaking to someone who has done like, you know, RPG role playing game DMing and stuff like this, yeah, that shit kind of comes in handy.
Oh no. So, what do you think? Could, like, I think I said before, was it the last session or the one before, with the Super Switch coming out, with Super Switch being out now, and Colosseum is on that, and XD has been promised to be on it.
Yeah.
There could be an outside chance that like this gets picked up. I live in hope that there'd be a third one in this series.
I think the ship has sailed for something like this because essentially just other projects have taken are different now. Like it's like Legends EA is like the Legends, so you say, the series of those games is essentially what you have here. It's a single player narrative experience. You know,
Yep.
It's not it, and it's focused. It's more focused, more direct, and it's in the canon of the shared Pokemon universe. You know, all these things. Now, I could make an argument for like a sub-series of games that like have just a slightly different experience, slightly different, like more story-based kind of things. But we've gone through the Colosseum era, we've gone through Mystery Dungeon, we now got the Legend series, and in a way, I don't want to be greedy and keep asking for like I want this, and this. Whereas like it's clear that they have a little bit of inspiration with Pokemon Legends. Like Arceus was a good start. ZA looks promising enough. Going by the theme of like this one was in the past, this one's in the future, I would be willing to bet that it is probably only going to be those two. But there's the present day, so I guess they could do something quite clever there if they wanted to. You know, pick a seat.
No.
Pick an area that like you haven't seen in 3D and give it a nice little brush up. You know.
So I would say what I'd love to see, my ideal, in my ideal Legends game, I'd say would be let's take let's take an entry,
Yeah.
like let's say Alola, and force you to play by Gen 1 mechanics. Like, hey, Hoopa has done some weird shit, and you're now in alternate, like, the rough, and I very much emphasize here, the rough setup for these games is that we have 3 timelines going.
Yeah.
There's the Mega timeline, the non-Mega timeline, and the Kanto timeline, let's say. Like, Gen 1 and 2 are together as a thing where abilities don't exist, and bag sizes have a limit.
Yes.
And then such a fundamental shift went on with the move to Gen 3. So let's have a game that actually returns to those roots of Gen 1 and 2.
Interesting.
Other mechanics,
Like,
sure. But
yeah.
let's go back to that. Let's go back to only having the special stat for a game.
Or,
like that's
or hypothetically, the dark type is never discovered, so therefore,
yeah.
Pokemon just refer to something else. Yeah, I suppose like you could. Yeah, interesting idea. Yeah.
So their options. They're not limited to past and future.
Yeah. Well, on the conversation, what I would like to see from a Legends game, I think it could be a very clever way of doing a backdoor sequel, is again working on my kind of presumption that if there is to be a third Legends game, this is the guy that we make the crocodile.
I'm sorry. How is this? How am I not racist for this? Bluno. Bluno.
Yeah. It's a corruption of Bruno. I don't see the. I honestly don't see the issue here, to be honest.
Asian stereotypes.
To be fair, Bluno is a silly name for silly people.
Oh my god. Okay, and there's our hit. There's our hit strike. We don't talk about Bluno.
We don't talk about Bluno, and we don't intend to.
There's your episode title.
I suppose like to kind of go back on your point there, like again, like if you've had a third Legends game, you've done past and future, you need to do present, right? So I'd say what I would probably do there is a backdoor sequel to Black and White.
Fair.
Where
but actually, we don't know that ZA is future. It's like, as far as I had seen, it's present. It's Kalos 10 years after Kalos happened, and Kalos happened 10 years ago.
I suppose it depends on like how far into the future how far does it constitute to be future is suppose the argument. So like let's say present / future at the minute until otherwise stated, right? Like my argument would be then I would do put the next Legends game into an environment that hasn't been given the 3D effect, the 3D treatment, and you've had like a feudal Japan's area that's been like it's complete. It's essentially almost open, apart from a few settlements, and then you have this very urban environment in DA. So you need to go for something that's kind of like almost in the middle if you're to do a present kind of like adaptation of it. So like pretty much most of the kind of like the pre 2D gens kind of qualify for that. Obviously Sinnoh will be out because you've already done that. Unova we've obviously mentioned as well. So, or not Unova, sorry, Kalos. So Unova will be a candidate, but then like Kanto and Hoenn or Kanto and Johto have been kind of done to death at this point. So Hoenn might be a decent shout as well.
Johto's been done to death. Johto hasn't been seen since 2009.
I know, but the problem is when you do Johto, you have to do Kanto, and that's the way they're always going to design it. Like there isn't enough in Johto.
That's a Legends game that can focus only on Johto.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think there'd be a lot of appetite in that. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just preempting Game Freak just being so wed to Generation 1 that like Generation 2 is the ginger stepchild. You know what I mean? Like it's always seen as the kind of it's always other than the conversation. So that's why I thought like if they did something instead of like say this is why I suggested Unova, because there's nothing to say that you couldn't do. Okay, let's just say Legends EA is the present in the timeline. Do a future one and have it be like it's the return of the fucking of the revenge of Team Plasma situation, or at the very least it's just like here is the resolution to the Truth and Ideals legendaries, whatever hero went off on the back of your Pokemon of choice, returns after fucking 50 years. What happens? You know, kind of way. And that one can be very lore heavy, but you then also have to decide, okay, what battle mechanic are we throwing in here that makes it spicy, like we have in both Legends games. And
this is why I harp back. I want to see this revisited. I love the concept of the shadows.